SpinachTiger.com, cooking big, fat, healthy food. Today we're going to make authentic Italian risotto. I already have a big, long kind of dissertation on risotto one-on-one over at the blog, and I will link that post for you because there's so many details and good information on what and how to really make risotto. But I'm going to show you the very basic recipe. From this recipe, you can do so many things. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is always have everything ready to go. You need piping hot broth. And remember always, as I tell you, that the ingredients will be all in one written list here on the video, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down right now. So you want piping hot broth. You want your risotto, which is, we use arborio rice. That's a rice that's used for risotto. And there's a little more information over at Spinach Tiger Risotto 101 about rice. There's some other ones that you could use, but that's the typical one. You want some kind of acid. You can use vinegar or you can use some white wine. I've done both. If you use vinegar, use like a champagne vinegar. Onion, you always need onion, and we're gonna soften but not saute our onion, and I have it already finely chopped. We're gonna throw our herb in, and it's usually parsley. We're gonna throw that in at the end because if you throw it in early, it's gonna lose its flavor. True Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, so I'm gonna grate mine fresh into the risotto at the end. I've got butter melting here, and I'm trying to keep this kind of low. I might even turn this down a bit. We want our butter to melt, and then we're gonna first add in our onion. I always like to tell you about some of the products that I use, that I really use. This is an OXO, and it's actually an omelet spatula. I've talked about this many times. I use it for everything. So here's another thing that I like about that spatula. You can pick up a lot of your ingredients and put it in there, and I want to make sure that I'm stirring this a lot. Here's another, this is what I chopped my onion with. It's a cleaver. Now, this brand is a 2-0. I love it. And also what you can do after you chop your onions, see, take it, put it in like that. So these are two products that I just happen to love. I think they're time savers in the kitchen. Now we're gonna soften the onion. I also love this pan. I love this Le Creuset pan. We just want to get it, we want to get these soft. Soft but not browned. This usually takes about 2 minutes. From here, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little tiny bit of salt on my onion. Not too much, because the broth might be a little salty. The softened onion with butter smells so good. What you see green is a little parsley got on there. Now we're going to toast the arborio rice. And I will move my onions over. I feel like I need just a little bit more butter in there. Turn this up just a little. The toasting kind of makes the rice a little more nutty flavor. So this gets toasted a little bit, and we can go ahead and add that onion onto it. That might have seemed like a lot of onion, but onion cooks way, way down. That was like 1 medium onion really, and then it's 1.5 cups of the rice. Now I prefer to use a nice wide pan so I have like a lot of surface, but you don't have to. You could use something a little smaller. I've actually done a lot of risotto in my Dutch oven. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my white wine. Now this is very important. When you add alcohol to a hot pot, it can geyser up. So we're gonna put it in and put a lid on it right away. I'm ready. So the thing you want to do when you add your white wine is have a lid ready, because sometimes it hits the grease and it can splatter. Did you hear that? So we'll give it a little time to temper down. Okay, we're good. Now we're gonna it's really kind of important to let this alcohol cook down. All we wanted was that acidic flavor, but we really don't want to be tasting wine in our risotto. This is gonna take another 5 minutes or so. This is the hardest part, is like the waiting. So typically when I'm making risotto, I'm also doing something else. I could be getting the protein ready, I could be chopping some vegetables to put in it, because what I think I might do at the end is I'm gonna add in some of this asparagus, but first I'll steam it, cut it, and add it in. Okay, I'm kind of not smelling the wine anymore, so I'm gonna start adding the hot broth. This is chicken broth, it's organic. And we'll add in 1 ladle at a time and stir. What you want to end up with is the rice that kind of exudes its own cream and has its own little creaminess. I do not add any heavy cream into my risotto. There's a lot on that at the blog post, but I think that's kind of amateur. It is going to look loose like this. You don't want a real tight risotto. Now we're ready to add in that second ladle. Let the rice absorb all of this. This really is like a meal unto itself. Some people will scare you and say you have to stir constantly, constantly, constantly. I have found that not to be true. You don't have to stir it constantly, but you just have to be there to watch it. Now it's got kind of it's right where I want it to be. I want you to take a good look. This is where I add my next ladle, right where it's at. Now you see how soupy that is? We're gonna wait till we get to that point, and then I'm gonna finish up with the whole 4 cups and then show you the next process. It took about 3 minutes to steam my asparagus. I actually peeled it a little first, cut off the tips, steamed it, shocked it with some ice to keep it nice and green, so we can add that at the end. You can add fresh peas, you can add shrimp, you can add salmon. I've made several kinds of risotto. I made red beet risotto and sweet potato risotto, kale risotto, so all those recipes are actually on the blog, but this is my basic creamy risotto. Now, this looks a little soupy, and you might be thinking, oh, that's too wet, that's too soupy. But you want to have a bite, a little bit of resistance in the rice. You don't want mushy rice. And when I tasted it, I feel like I did. And then this is all going to absorb anyway. So let's go ahead, turn it off, and then this cools down immediately. You would take this off the heat, and then we would put in our fresh Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. I'm just going to go ahead and grate it. You probably would have yours already grated, but I just thought this would be great. I love this zester for this too. I always buy it in blocks because I really want it. I want it fresh. This is the king. Oh my gosh, that smells great. The king of cheese. Then we add in our fresh parsley. Give it a stir. And as this sits, it's going to absorb the liquid. And it's beautiful. Now this can be an entree or this can be a side dish. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead . Here's what I love. The wine taste, the wine completely evaporated, but it left like a layer of flavor. The cheese was just enough, and there is that resistant little bite. And then if you want to, like I said, You can take your risotto. Now you see, oh, it's creamy. All of this liquid is gonna keep absorbing, so don't worry about that. Better this than a dry risotto. As this sits, all of that liquid is going to keep continuing to absorb, but we do not want to overcook our rice. We want to keep it creamy. We put some asparagus in there. I topped it off with a little more cheese. It is perfect. This is a great lunch, dinner, side dish, and it's got all the cream. Looks like I added cream, but I didn't. That's the way risotto is supposed to be. You do not want a dry risotto. Thank you so much for watching and coming to SpinachTiger.com. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Spinach Tiger, same handle. And I really do appreciate if you would take a second to subscribe. I will be back with a lot more videos. And hop on over to SpinachTiger.com. We have over 1,000 recipes. Spinach Tiger, big, fat, healthy food.